Are you looking for a quick weeknight meal for the two of you, but you share one pasta? I got just the dish for you. Stroganoff. We got ground beef stroganoff for Joe, and we've got mushroom stroganoff for me. See you soon. Welcome back to One Dish, Two Ways. I'm Sheila. Joe's behind the camera, and we are a household that eats. I eat plant-based, mostly whole food plant-based, and he eats standard American diet. And so we come to you with what dishes we make, so that it can seem overwhelming when you live in a household where you each eat differently, but you can make it work, and we want to show you how easy it can be. So this week's video is all about quick weeknight meal, and we are doing stroganoff for this week's meal. So we're going, as you can hear, things are moving and happening over there. So let me have Joe follow me over here. Okay, so what we've got going here is I've already cooked Joe's hamburger up, and I drain a lot of it off. Now, none of these recipes are mine. I will give you the links to them, but this is super easy. So I'm going to let my onions cook just a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit of water to them. This is the high burner, so okay. Actually, before I make Joe's thing, I'm going to add, because I don't want my onions to burn, I'm going to add I had to go to the store tonight, and so I went ahead and got 8 ounces of mushrooms already cut up to help myself out, and they were actually on sale, so that was perfect. So I'm going to add the mushrooms in here and get them to start cooking. Mushrooms have a lot of water in them, so I only added water for the onions. Once these start, they will start releasing their water. So I'm going to just let those get going. And then I'm going to start on Joe's sauce. It's super easy, and you might already have the ingredients at home. So we've got 1 pound of hamburger already cooked, and I drained a lot of the grease off of it. Now we're going to add half a cup of sour cream. We're going to add 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. That's simple. And there's gluten-free ones. This was the heart healthy, so it has less sodium. There was no sodium. Lots of different options there for you. I feel like it's going to need a little bit of liquid, but it doesn't call for it in the recipe. So I have Joe on tap to get me a bit of milk to, thin it out some. So we're just going to see how this goes. And then some seasoning. So I'm going to use my all-purpose seasoning for this. So let me...
you can use some of the noodle water too for that.
Well, I already drained the noodles, but that would have been a great idea. So I cooked the noodles ahead of time because I only have so much room on the stove. And Joe's right. Using that starchy water, that helps to make these sauces thin them out a little bit, but it won't lose their thickness. But I've already drained said water, so that was a good thing that I shouldn't have done that. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of, I'm turning this to low, of my all-purpose seasoning, which we have a video about that. And it's got salt. No, it's not going to have salt. It's got pepper and onion powder and garlic powder and paprika. So it's got a little bit of everything in it. So I did a tablespoon of that. This is the one I was using. So we're just going to let this cook, or just like meld all the flavors together, but it's that simple. So you're using store-bought ingredients, because you can make stroganoff as fancy or as simple as you want. Tonight's a weeknight, and so we're making it simple tonight. We are using 1 pasta because we can use the same pasta. So you might be saying, but Sheila, stroganoff goes with egg noodles. Yeah, and Sheila doesn't eat eggs. So we went with whole grain penne for our pasta. Joe, thankfully, doesn't really care. He's not super picky on, he eats egg noodles. He'll eat any of them. So thankfully, that's okay. So we're using 1. I did the whole box. Both of them say you need 8 ounces of noodles. We're going to put on our plate what we want. I probably won't add all the noodles. We'll see what Joe wants me to do. But I know for mine, I'm just going to pour it over. So we'll see how that goes. So let's move these around a little bit. See, they're already starting to soften, and the water is being let out of them. So, oh my gosh, this is already smelling so good. You could use a mix of different kinds of mushrooms. like I said, the store already had these ready to go. So I was like, I'm going to take a little help from the store. And it was on sale, so I thought that was good. So I'm going to turn this down to low. Honey, can you make sure the fire, sometimes that fire goes out when you turn it too low. Okay, so he's going to watch that, and he's going to move the camera over to me because I'm going to show you the sauce we're going to make for my stroganoff. You might see little Tyson in our video. That's our current foster. A little dachshund, is that how you say it? I say dachshund, but that's not right.
Just a wiener dog.
Oh, wiener doggy, yeah. You want to say hi, Tyson? Yeah, Joe will get you in the camera in a little bit. So this sauce actually uses cashews. And cashews, if you don't know, for a whole food plant-based eating, make things creamy. And because the nut has a little more fat in it, it helps to give you more of that mouthfeel like creamy sauces in the standard American diet. Now, I probably don't need the fat of the cashews, but I read many reviews of the recipe where people who can't have nuts or allergic to nuts, they subbed white beans, which a lot of times I have done, not the same effects. So I decided to go with the cashews because I'm not going to eat the whole dish in one night. And this is a half a cup of cashews for the entire batch. And so I felt like that was a good exchange for that. And it's not like I'm eating cashews every day. So the key to blending cashews into a sauce is soaking them. And because it's a quick weeknight meal, I warmed up my vegetable broth, there's a cup of vegetable broth in here. Put it in the microwave for 2 minutes. Because if you add the nuts to hot water, or in this case, hot vegetable broth, they will soften quicker. If you have lots of time, then you could soak them, for an hour or 2 hours. But in this case, like I said, we're doing a weeknight meal. So let's get this started. So we need some spices. So we're going to do a half a teaspoon of some spices. We're going to start with smoked paprika. Oh, goodness. Okay, here we go. Whew. Sometimes the lighting and my glasses and all that. Okay, so we've got a half teaspoon of paprika in here. We've got a half teaspoon of onion powder. It says minced onion, but it's actually onion powder. Okay. We've got a half the other thing I like is that this all does in the blender, which I'm excited about. And then a half teaspoon of black pepper. A half teaspoon. Now, it said thyme. Well, of course, do I have thyme right now? No, I don't have thyme in my cupboard. But poultry season, if you did not know, the first ingredient, which is always the most, anytime you look at packaging, the first ingredient's the most in there. It's thyme. So I'm using poultry seasoning because it's got other stuff in there. They got to be good, marjoram and stuff. So why not? So I'm using a half teaspoon, and that's literally finishing that up. So that's perfect. You got to adapt with what you have. Don't freak out. Just adapt. You need 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. So I'm going to put that in here. That's going to help make it like cheesy, if you will. I know that there's no cheese in stroganoff, but it's going to give you that flavor. And then it calls for, once again, a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Do I have Dijon mustard at the moment? Of course I do not. But again, this morning we decided, let's show them how we do a quick weeknight meal. And we pivot. I pivot all the time. The friends, maybe Joe can put the pivot friends thing in here. I don't know if he's gotten that good at his editing skills. Okay, so I'm going to use dill pickle mustard. Why did I decide to use this? Because I think that little twing will be good with the dill. So that's why I chose that. Okay, so we got 1 tablespoon. Ooh, that's enough. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons. It says Bragg's, but in this case, I'm going to use tamari because guess what? That's what I have on the thing. We just pivot. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons of that. And then I don't know if anyone else has a Ninja blender, but it is super loud. So we're going to blend this and then come right back because it's loud and you wouldn't be able to hear a word that I'd be saying. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So Ninja took care of it. You see, we now have a sauce that I'm going to pour on top of the mushroom and onion mixture and get that to start thickening. And then we'll be able to serve it over the noodles. So let's turn this back on. I know Joe turned it off. This is like our ultra heat one because I can't put 2 things there. And it was like starting to burn. So, okay. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. And I don't believe it'll take long to thicken at all. So Joe, you added some stuff to thin it, right? While I was making it or no?
Maybe a couple tablespoons of water just to...
Okay. Now, do you want your noodles in there to mix it all around? Or do you want to just put your stuff right on top of the noodles?
Just dip the noodles in it.
I'm sorry?
Just dip the noodles in it.
So put noodles in it and stir it all around. Okay. So, should be about half of this mixture would be 8 ounces.
Good.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. Stir his around while mine is thickening. You see mine's bubbling away here. Okay. Which stroganoff is thick. So this does track with thick stroganoff, or with, yeah. And mine is bubbling away. I think, did you want to give yours a try for seasoning real quick while mine is doing its thing? Oh yeah, mine's thickening up fast here. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It's like golden color, and I didn't even add turmeric to it. It's probably that mustard. Sorry, I'm watching the foster dogs, and you know, he's little and he's still learning all the things. So, wow, mine is like already come together. Look at that. Look how fast that came together. Woo, this is awesome. You adding pepper? Yeah, he's adding pepper. Okay, I think I'm going to add the noodles to mine also. Get that sauce. We'll see how full I can get this, you know, and still be able to stir it. The noodles are kind of sticking. Yeah, so sometimes with pasta, even though it says that, it's never, seems like it's more pasta than what you really need. So always err on the side of, I'm sorry, what did you say?
You might have turned that off.
Yeah. You always err on the side of, if you're going to cook it all, don't necessarily add it to something. I did that one time when we were early on marriage, like spaghetti, and it like soaked up all the sauce. It was bad. So we had to go buy more marinara. Okay, wow, look at that. Wow, that came together so fast. Great recipe. It was the plant-based cooking show, I think, the recipe I ended up going with. So I will definitely send you guys the link for that in the comments or in the show description. And that's done. Wowzers, that is done. So now we've got to plate it and show you how we're going to serve it. So we'll be right back with that. See you in a bit. Okay, guys, we're back and we're plated up. Look how delicious these look. So Joe is serving his with some cream corn and his ground beef stroganoff. And I have got some broccoli that I just did in the microwave, frozen broccoli with my stroganoff. And this meal, we might not actually burn our mouth on camera, Joe. So this will be good. So I'm going to grab a little bit of broccoli and my stroganoff. Peas would be another good option with stroganoff, I think. Was that because of the peas or because of the stroganoff?
Both. It's good. But peas in there I can see definitely is another flavor.
Actually putting them in the dish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, now, the other thing is, we also had a pound of hamburger that Joe had not cooked yet. He had done hamburgers with the rest of it and tacos the day before, or a couple days ago. So it's different to do it with ground beef instead of steak meat, but it would also be good if you had just a little bit of steak left over. You could also just make your sauce and everything and then just, you know, heat the meat up and do it that way too. So it would also work with getting leftovers pulled together. So thank you all so much for joining us. If you have another quick weeknight meal you'd like us to try making on camera, we'd love to do it. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week.